But they can't get everybody.
If the justice system does not start working, people are going to take it into their own hands.
Yeah.
And that's not a threat. That's just facts.
Yeah. A message is being sent regardless.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that guy is facing charges, and I hope he gets locked up forever, or they just fucking kill him. But, like, if they do, the legal system has to do that, though, right? Like,
yeah, the justice system. That's the whole point of all this, is where the justice system has failed us for so many years.
Yeah.
Where police aren't held to the same standards as normal citizens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's kind of the focal point. Well.
Yep.
I never told you this either. My dad's a cop. I didn't tell you this.
Really?
Yeah, my dad's a police officer. He was a Metro police officer for about 36 years, and he lived in Virginia as well. He always bragged that he was never shot at or shot anybody. So I guess
that's a cool thing to brag about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's retired now, of course. He lives in Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you if you have any stories, like your dad being a police officer, but
yeah, there's nothing crazy. Yeah, so maybe that's a good thing, though.
Yeah,
that there is nothing crazy.
No, yeah, it's not. Yeah,
he definitely
that sounds like a good thing.
He definitely knew some crooked cops. That's like a fact. Like they exist. They're in there. You know, that's.
I'm sure you've seen the.
That's with anything with power,
right.
though.
Exactly.
Position of power.
People abuse it, and that's the issue.
I think you've probably seen the hashtag ACAB thing that's been going around.
I have, yeah.
And I think sort of the dialogue that's around that, not what's the phrase itself, but the dialogue surrounding it, what people are trying to say, and maybe failing to, is that when you have one bad officer and that officer doesn't face any penalties for it and gets solidarity and support, it makes all of them look bad.
Absolutely, yeah. Chris Rock has a good joke about that. It's going viral right now about one bad apple spoiling the bunch, and about American Airlines. Like, you don't just have one bad pilot that just like, I can't land the plane today. That's just not a thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it rings true. You have to have a line of police officers that are all there to do their job at the same, to held to the same standards. You can't just have somebody that's like, you know what, I'm going to abuse it today and kill somebody and just get away with it. And that's the whole issue. That's my whole thing as well, And it's sad because when cops know that there's other cops that haven't been found.
Yeah, that's a ringtone.
Well, that's embarrassing.
That was perfect.
That was good. Yeah, good timing on that.
Let me turn it down.
No, I liked it. It was uplifting. This is really grim stuff we're talking about.
It's like, this podcast is going somewhere I didn't think it was going.
I think this podcast is about to take a turn.
No, I think we're on the same page. You can't have bad apples. And like, as far as the all cops are bastards thing, I mean, some people, that's their job. They're supporting families. I have friends that are cops, and they're decent people, and they know people that abuse power all the time. But it takes those cops to speak up on behalf of those people,
right.
And say, hey, I'm not going to do my job if they're not going to do theirs.
Yes.
And that's what they should do.
That's really important. Policing yourself.
Exactly.
Policing the police.
Yeah.
Like, because if they're not going to police themselves, who's going to do that?
Exactly.
And that's how a lot of people feel right now, is like, if they're not going to do it, someone has to.
Absolutely.
Well, there needs to be checks and balances in any kind of position of power that you have. And really, I can get behind all the peaceful protesting of what's going on and trying to bring about more awareness of the situation and the discrimination that people are feeling. But I'm not sure I can really get behind the like ACAB, like all cops are bastards. It seems to, like, maybe what you're saying is there's a general idea of what that means to people, but just on its face value, it seems extremely implicit in what it means. And
I will say this. I don't know really how I feel about it, but I will say that it's definitely a slippery slope, because when you start dehumanizing a group and saying that all of them are bad, it's really rally behind that.
It's almost like you're doing the exact...
It's violent.
It's like you're doing the same exact thing that you're trying to fight against, which is stereotyping and dehumanizing a group of individuals. You're saying, like, all black people are this. It's like saying, no, well, actually all cops
I would
are
agree
this.
with that.
It's the same line of reasoning that you're actually trying to fight against in the first place.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
It's like trying to fight fire with gasoline.
To be honest with you, it's really confusing, and I don't know what to think right now. like about a lot of
I mean, cops are just like any other position of power. There's plenty of corrupt politicians, but we don't wave the banners of, you know, all politicians are evil or just in it for money or you know,
Right.
what have you. There's good people. There's people with bad intentions, good intentions. People steeped in ignorance that just don't know the right path to go, and they think what they're doing is right. You know, everything in between. And so one thing I've been seeing that I really could get behind also is better police training. So like better
Yeah.
de-escalation protocols, more rigorous training anytime that comes into situations like this, to weed out those people who are just in it for, you know, to get off on the power they're exerting over other people. And the more and more stuff like this happens, and it's being brought about, and this is a really good thing. As terrible as it is that this happened to this guy, it's an amazing thing that this guy's actually being put to justice. Because, like you were saying, there's been too many cops, and this isn't just a generalization about cops in general, but the people who, there's been many of them that just get away with it, and the worst thing that happens is they get laid off for a while, or they get fired. But then outside of that, they don't really get much justice to them. And if it was just an average citizen, then it would be far worse. This situation, they really couldn't. They really couldn't get. His hands were pretty tied on this, I think, because there's video evidence from his own camera, other people shooting the video. You know, a ridiculous amount of unnecessary force was exerted there without question. And
without question.
Yeah.
And again, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have that vantage point of a 360 view of that being going down.
Oh yeah.
But now that you do, it's like you can't hide these terrible people that are abusing their power day in, day out anymore. You know, that's going to come to light.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get old. Side note, a drummer friend wants to play that beat like at our show. So that'll be fun one day. He's like, I should just sound check with that on loop. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. That's a great idea.